Right. And what is their impression when they come down? Because I always think about part of the charge of what I do is focusing on what the first-time visitor to downtown Danbury, what their impression of downtown Danbury is.
Oh, as a musician myself, I mean, I think there's a lot more that speaks volumes other than the dollar bill sometimes in terms of payouts and things like that. I think artists look for places that believe in what they're doing. I think artists look for places where there is a grassroots DIY type of attitude, and they're treated with respect and in a welcoming kind of attitude. Not making promises we can't commit to, not making guarantees and apologies at the end of the night, and simply just being upfront about everything. You know, Larry's is a small bar.
So what's your capacity there?
I believe our capacity is around 80, 85 people.
Mm-hmm. So it's a very intimate space?
Very intimate space, right. Which is, can go a long way as well. Not everybody wants to play Wembley Stadium right. all the time.
Or not every night.
Or not every night, right. The off nights come to the 80 capacity. So I think, you know, that's something I firmly believe in, is that, you know, I stand behind everything I put my name on. And if I think that any of that is compromised, then I completely back out immediately. So for the past 2 years since I've been doing the booking L Areas, you know, I stand by everything I put through there.
And I noticed too on your MySpace page, you're able to download some music from the musicians.
Well, not necessarily downloading, because then I get into slippery slope.
Okay, I didn't mean to say that.
But
no
I certainly post tracks with artist permission, and I think that that's something that you know, this MySpace generation has certainly revolutionized the way bands do business. You know, my personal band will be taking a small tour next month, and it's almost 100% done through MySpace.
And what's that personal band?
My band out of Connecticut is called Sneak Thief.
Okay.
And so I think we try very hard, you know, to utilize that vehicle, and you know, giving an audience an opportunity to listen to music before they show up, without having to hit a bunch of links and travel to other places on the internet, goes a long way.
It does. It certainly does.
And what kind of music does your band play?
We're a high-energy rock outfit, all original rock outfit. You know, labels get very tricky too sometimes. I'm sure we're a little of everything.
What do you play next? As a musician, as a music lover, I want to check it out.
Well, you know, I set up shop at Cousin Larry's, but like I said, we'll be traveling all the way down to South Carolina and
that's great.
Hitting Philadelphia and all the stops in between.
All right.
Okay, we do have another call. Hi, you're on the air.
Hello.
Hello.
My name is Christian Petnato. I'm at the Danbury Healthcare Center in Danbury, Connecticut.
Hi, Christian. Good evening.
Good evening. I was surprised to see your show on. I just want to say happy birthday to my brother Morgan Petnato.
And you're using our show to do that? Do you have a question about building Danbury into a music city?
Is that East Coast? Morgan is my brother, and he works.
He's at East
Coast Music.
He is East Coast Music Mall.
And he's doing a lot of music things for little kids. That's called Rock On America.
Right. I've had a conversation with your brother about that.
Oh, you have?
That there's a whole, there's also like this wave, again, with the way that we get information these days, computers, the internet, that there's a whole thing going on with the tween and teen set.
It's a great thing to see, all these young kids coming in, looking forward to going in and playing guitar. And sometimes, because I answer the phone for my brother occasionally, just to get me out of where I'm at now, in the Danbury Healthcare Center, which is a nice place with older people. My sister comes here, and we do the karaoke for some of these old people, and they love it.
I've also heard karaoke's so wonderful. There's been suggestions to bring karaoke downtown, too.
Well, it would be a great thing. I'd be more than happy to come down and sing some Elvis.
You would, okay.
Happy birthday.
Thank you happy birthday to your brother.
Morgan.
Any questions for us that we can answer?
No, I'm glad to have switched on to your channel and find out that there's a lot more than this than I heard of or thought of.
Well, that's wonderful. If we get you thinking and talking about it, that's why we're here tonight.
Well, that's what you've done.
Okay, good. And if you find yourself downtown, stop in at the City Center office. We're right at West and Main Street.
Okay.
Okay?
You have a good night.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.
There was actually a discussion that I did have with his brother Morgan at East Coast Music Mall.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's right.
And did go to a website. This is something that Richard and I have also talked about. I'd love to see a skateboarding this park or something downtown, or conversations we're also having with the Ice Arena about how to service this this other age group, if we're talking about how
Norwalk
to
just did it, I know, not too long ago. Norwalk has opened a public skate park.
I can speak to that a little bit as an educator because I've spent so many years teaching guitar and had some students that have really come up really well and gone to some great universities. But the reason I say that is because I have snuck them into open mic nights at places maybe they, you know.
Shouldn't have been at.
And I'm talking about Cousin Larry's. So you can
Thank
you can actually take
No,
it,
rest
breathe easy
assured.
on that. But you know, not necessarily snuck them in, but you know, nice
Expose them,
venues
in a
having
way,
to come
yeah.
before 10 o'clock because the rules change at 10 o'clock. And some, but yeah, there should be more places for these kids to get out there while they're really, you know, still cutting their teeth and developing. That'd be a great thing.
Young kids grow up to be 21 sometime.
They do.
Right.
They sure do. And they'll
Right,
hang
and
around
adults,
and spend some money
and
downtown too.
appreciators of the arts. What would an ideal place like that look like for someone, say your daughter's age, Antonio?
It's hard because the law is very strict here, and we don't want to get in trouble with that. But they should like take one day of the week to do that, either Thursday or Friday, because they don't have school on the weekends. And anybody who has a facility there would be open for that. But I believe that the arena was going to be able to do that also.
Right, we are
Because they
talking
already
about
have- yeah,
doing that,
Because they
doing
already
music
have
on
the
ice.
Friday night, which they have, yeah, and the music on ice, so maybe can work with them and do something like that.
Yeah, I think that would be nice. We're talking about, or just in discussions with the ice arena for City Center Saturdays. This is part of the summer series. We're calling that for Saturdays, but hopefully having
Doing
events
very
during.
well, too.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Also doing City Center Saturdays throughout the fall and the
That's a
winter
good
and the
idea.
spring, just using different venues throughout Danbury. I'm going to take another call. We have another call. Hi, good evening. You're on the air.
Oh, yeah, I was just watching the show here, and I just wanted to say that I think it's, you know, a good thing that you guys are finally coming around and realizing that Danbury does have, you know, potential for, you know, a good music scene. I've lived in Danbury for, you know, most of my life, and I've seen a ton of good shows in town, and it just seems that lately that the, not the quality of shows, but just the amount and the consistency and the level has gone down. You know, I've got, you know, a whole bunch of ticket stubs from prior shows that I've been to, and there's been some huge names that have come through town, and it just seems like lately there just hasn't been anything. And I'm not trying to knock the local scene and the local musicians
Not being
because
booked
they're all
anymore.
very good. But I just think that in order to get a draw from town, from people in town, and from surrounding towns, that there needs to be some, you know, some bigger acts, some more national names coming through. I know one of the more recent shows that I saw was a band called Medeski Martin Wood, and they're a jazz band, sort of a fusion band, and you know, that was a great show. It was packed. I was just recently down at Tuxedo's, and there was another huge show down there. It was unfortunately, it was a cover band, I guess you could say, but it was a Grateful Dead cover band.
Dark Star Orchestra. Yeah.
But, you know, I just, like I said, I think it's a good thing that we're finally, you know, there's a group of people that are out there realizing that, you know, Danbury does have, or had, or could have, you know, a great music scene. And there's, I think, tons of venues that we don't even need more venues. I think there's plenty of venues that can, you know, that can do this. We just need to get the people down there to support it. And I find that that's one of the major problems, is that either nobody knows or nobody shows up. Another thing, as mentioned before, was the gas ball. I thought that was probably one of the best things going for a couple of years. And unfortunately, the people who did that have either moved on or, you know, found that it just didn't pay off. Or
Well, you can ask that question directly of Pete here.
You can,
The history of the gas.
you know, that was the nature of the gas ball. It was, like Tony said, it was, is it DIY or DIY?
DIY. Do it yourself.
DIY.
Yes, unfortunately, some of us did move on, and honestly, that's because as you get into your 30s, it becomes harder to take 2 months of your life and just donate it for, you know, for the masses. It was a nonprofit venture, and it was a great time.
I agree with you on that point, but WestCon is still there, and there's still, you know, tons of students,
There you go.
and I think there's
Agreed.
still tons of, you know, talent that can be drawn from them.
Agreed.
I think there needs to be maybe, you know, either some incentive or just, you know, some something to spur, you know, another sort of venture like that, because I thought it was a great thing, and you know, I would go again if there was another opportunity for something like that.
I think.
As mentioned before, the skate park idea was great. You know, the Stanford actually just opened a huge skate park down at Scalzi. It's a cement park, and it's you know, I'm also in my mid-30s, and back in the 80s when I was a skateboarder, you know, that was like a dream of mine to see a skate park. You know, we had to build our own ramps, but you know, here they are, virtually in every surrounding town. But you know, I think that getting back to the root cause here is the music scene. I just think we need to get some bigger acts and some more consistency, some good promotion, and just to try and fill up the venues that we already have.
Caller, where did you see Medeski Martin, and what venue was that? Just curious.
That was at the former Colorado Brew Pub.
Premier Music Hall. Yeah, that was the premier group. I guess I didn't mean to sound so establishment the last thing I said. I guess that happens as you get older. Of course, you know, if I had the 2 months, I'd give it. And as far as the bigger names go, I know, I think I can remember one of the last eras you're talking about when some of the bigger names were coming through on a more consistent basis. And I won't mention any club names or promoter names, but I do know that it was economically, it was a tough thing for some of these clubs to try. Without the full support of the community, without a teamwork sort of way of approaching things and saying this is what we want to do here, for one venue to go it alone, it's usually not a win situation. It's close, but it's usually not a win situation.
It's close.
You need everybody on board. You need to say this is what we're trying to do.
And you have to be able to give it more than 2 months.
Absolutely.
Pack up shop.
You definitely need to give it the time, and you definitely need to get the backing of the community, because, you know, on the other hand, we have, you know, the, you know, right in City Center there's a stage, and it seems like we can get shows going down there, but it seems like a lot of the neighbors, if there are, you know, considered neighbors, don't want the noise. But, you know, here's noise that, you know, a lot of people are calling music and entertainment. It is the entertainment center of Danbury, and I think there needs to be some acceptance of that.
Well, I think that's something in my capacity as the new manager that I have been working very diligently on. And I keep an open communication with everyone in the downtown, the dining and entertainment district. So that's on the mend, and we're shoring that up downtown.
Yeah, and I think that's great, and I think we do need to respect the people that live downtown, but I think they also need to understand that they live downtown, and, you know, there needs to be some activity, and, you know, it doesn't have to be on a Tuesday night, you know, because obviously people work. But I just, you know, I think, you know, on a Friday night, Saturday night, you know, there can be a little bit of noise, if you want to call it that, and, you know, it might draw more people out, and you might find that, you know, businesses in town might benefit from the additional traffic that is being brought downtown. I went downtown last Thursday. There was nothing going on.
Ooh, not true, not true.
Not true, not true.
Not true.
There was
I had
Well,
an
it was
entire
raining,
bill of
so-
upstate New York,
walking around, but
and it was
Did
great.
you go to Cousin Larry's on last Thursday?
you know, I actually, you know, I didn't go
Texas
to Cousin
Blind,
Larry's.
LA
I
Massacre,
apologize for it. I should have gone
Ranges.
there, and I probably wouldn't have said what I just said.
Yeah,
It's
there you
just
go.
In fact, every Thursday night.
like the options are kind of slim, you know, on what could be a good night. So, you know, again, I don't want to take up everybody's time, but I do think what you guys are doing is good, and I hope that it continues and that we get some results.
That's it. We're working on it.
That's what
Yeah.
Black Hawk is here for, right? Black Hawk Productions is going to bring all the acts.
There we go. And Pete, you wanted to say something to this
I think I just
caller?
did.
You did. Okay. I'm really excited about what Black Hawk's hoping to do. And
Yeah.
I know you had a little bump in the road with Taylor Dane.
Yeah, we
And
did.
I know we did have, when Antonio and his partner Rodrigo came to us with that concert, it was also the opening night of our summer series with the Danbury Music Center's the Symphony Orchestra. And, you know, I'm of the mind that the more the merrier, the bigger the better. And so we sat down and talked about how we were going to negotiate this, how we were going to, if there were 2,000 people coming to downtown Danbury, how that was going to work out. Because again, I'm looking at the first time, the person who's coming downtown for the first time and what their impression is. So we did, we called a meeting, and everyone showed up. We had the police, we had the fire.
That's right.
Fire marshal, we had parking
Bob
authority.
Garcia.
Yeah, we had the ice arena, we had promoters, we had City Center, we had Danbury Music Center, and we sat in a room and we figured it out, and it was great. And so now we have a plan. We have a blueprint for what we need to do downtown when Black Hawk starts bringing in 2,000 people.
Okay,
Good.
very soon.
So.
There was one segue in there when the gas ball, but festivals, I remember when I moved here from California in 2000, and I was trying to sort of size up the Connecticut music scene. I mean, I live in Row 8, so down the road from here, and of course, having worked with the launch of Houstonic Valley Organizing Committee, I got to know this area pretty well in the course of doing that project. But I kind of found that the music scene in that part of Connecticut, and I mean the 95 corridor between here and New Haven, to be somewhat, I mean, maybe because it's so close to New York, it's a New York suburb, there weren't a lot of really good original bands. I mean, obviously Deep Banana Blackout, I guess they came out of that region, right?
Sure.
I mean, I have two alums from that band actually are in King for a Day. I'll plug the band there, which
Eric
is a good,
and Randy, right?
Randy Funk, yeah. And but overall, it's interestingly enough in New Haven, the Journal Register publication actually, speaking of publications, and usually publications tend to launch in areas where there is a scene and enough to support it.
Sure.
And Journal Register is doing something called Play. I don't know if you've seen that.
I actually have.
And the one thing I like about what they do is they put out a CD of all Connecticut artists, new artists. In fact, Arms and Legs, Scott Daly,
Yeah.
was featured on that disc. And I looked at that and went,
Performed
okay, they must be somewhat plugged in. Although when as a Row 8 resident, when I emailed in and requested one, I think they must have seen my zip code and said, no, he's not New Haven. But you know, it seemed as if the gas ball really celebrated what was an authentic local music scene, which I haven't really encountered in the other part of the state, in the other parts of the state. And to some extent, that's what festivals do. Festivals do celebrate and illustrate and sort of give a focus to whatever that scene is.
Showcase.
I'm going to take another caller. I'm sorry to interrupt you there. Good evening. You're on the air.
Hi. I was calling to see how, on behalf of the city government, I think it would be a good idea also to start cleaning up the downtown area. Some of the neighborhoods around it, are getting old and falling down a bit. And I don't know that anyone, I know would want to open up a venue in a place that, where they thought people would be hanging out outside looking for jobs, or, where they knew that people felt unsafe parking their car. And I don't know, if it would be better to, have a little bit of a better appearance in the downtown area.
Okay, thank you for your input, and we'll address that. Thank you. That is something I will say that we're working on. Again, it's perception. There's two major misperceptions about downtown Danbury. One is that it's not safe, and the other one is that there's no parking. And these are misperceptions that the public has. There is a new parking garage that is opening the end of October. It's going to put 400 new parking spaces on Main Street. There's also an initiative that's going to start in August 1st, where to park on the street is now going to cost you 25 cents for 15 minutes, but if you park in the parking garage, it will be cheaper. So this is to encourage longer-term parking in the parking garages and free up the spaces downtown for those who are doing quick errands. Danbury is a safe city. This was something that I heard when I first started working at the end of February. I had someone from the police department pull all the crime calls that went in from City Center, overlaid it on a map of City Center, and there is non-existent violent crime downtown. You were so unlikely to become a victim of crime if you walk downtown. So that's something that we're working on. Also, transitioning the Kennedy Park area, where now City Center's now began a farmer's market down there. That's right in your neck of the woods.
By Elm Street.
By Elm Street. And so those are initiatives, but those things take time, and it takes a commitment from people within the community, the stakeholders in the community. I am in constant contact with property owners. I talk to them about their property. I've worked with 3 property owners to clean up what I've what I've call Scourge Alley, which is the alleyway between Post Office Walk and White Street.
Sure.
And the police have been very cooperative in maintaining foot patrols through there, and also the property owners are doing what they can to keep it clean. So these things are underway. They take time. We do have another caller. Hi, you're on the air.
Hello, Andrea and guests. Thank you for the show. I'm really enjoying it. I just want to say Danbury, the city of Danbury has always had a rich history in music, from the birth of Charles Ives on Main Street, and you can go back, I think actually Bob Dylan hitchhiked from Brewster to WestCon one time and played at Western. Also, Mick Jagger, the Rolling Stones, one time saw a movie on Main Street in the Old Palace, and the Doors actually performed
The Doors, that's right.
at Danbury High School, and I think ex-mayor Eric Hez was in attendance.
Yeah, it was Ives.
And there's many acts that have performed down in the city center. Molly Hatchet was there before Danny Joe Brown passed away. Government Mule was there before Woody the bassist passed away. So you can go on and on, and Danbury's had a very rich history of music. And I think even before the New York Pops conductor from New Milford, Skitch Henderson, passed away, he performed one of his last acts at the 4th of July benefit concert over at Ives Concert Park on the western side. So, you know, Danbury's had a rich history of music, and I just want to point that out. I'm really enjoying the show, and before I go, I'd like to say I can name that tune in 3 notes. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, I, for one, have been very encouraged by the type of calls that we've been getting.
So far,
Yeah.
This is on people's radar. I think it's a
It's the
wonderful
elephant
thing.
in the living room. if
The
you ask
elephant
me.
that it is. Okay.
One thing that you guys pointed out earlier was booking original bands versus booking cover bands. And when people ask me why Danbury versus other cities in Connecticut,
People want to see what they already know, right?
well, in certain parts, maybe in the Wall Street, really heavy Wall Street communities, the cover bands are more popular because maybe it's a more conservative audience. But I think the more dynamic scenes usually involve original music, and a lot of musicians, perhaps even living in an area. Songwriters, look at the way songwriters were gravitating to Austin. That's one of the things that was one of the organic factors. So you want to try to do things to encourage songwriters, bands to actually live here. You know, get a place on the lake and write an album or something. Because that's, you know,
Contemplation
it's,
space.
in fact, you talk about, one thing, when you were talking about bars in town, we were talking about where people were playing and the size of venues. Do you guys think there are enough clubs currently in Danbury to
Or
create?
size-wise.
Maybe not
Do we need to
operational
attract
ones.
more people to do this? And
I
create?
think there's 2 different things going on. I mean, obviously, the way that I'm operating at Cousin Larry's is a much smaller scale than we're talking about this ice arena or even Tuxedo Junction. But I don't think that there's enough venues that are actively and consistently, as another caller put it out, booking national bands. And I don't think that we necessarily have a place, whether it's for music or it's for something else, be a skate park for kids to go. There are tons of incredible bands that I brought through Cousin Larry's that I know would have been devoured by people like your daughter or in that age group, and unfortunately, the door has
And
to
what
stay
kind of
closed.
size venue is that? Because maybe 2,000 is too large, 1,500, 2,000 is
I
too
mean,
large.
I've had a band recently in Cousin Larry's, which is a small spot, sell out the Bowery Ballroom in New York City. They're from Brooklyn, New York. They're now currently opening up for Chris Cornell and Government Mule. So, you know, we kind of caught them right in the cusp.
What band was that?
Earl Greyhound.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Earl Greyhound has come through Cousin Larry's a couple times now, and just recently sold out the Bowery Ballroom, which you know, I don't want to get too fuzzy with my numbers, but it's a sizable ballroom for New York City. Not the Roseland, but not Mercury Lounge either. Somewhere in between, pretty big.
So if we had to, if there was no obstacles to human resources, to people's time and energy, and there was no barrier to capital, to private, public, and corporate funds, what is the kind of picture that you see for Danbury, for downtown, building around, creating a music city that way? And I'd like to hear from all of you on that, so we can start like putting an outline together for this.
No barriers, huh?
Right, I mean, just
Well, first
no
of all, let's
holds
get the
barred,
Palace
just-
Theater up and running, and that is one of the most creative. That is going to be one of the most creative things that anyone's ever going to have to do is figure out how to swallow that bill. because there's arguments against using private funds, there's arguments against using public funds, and it's going to have to be a, if it were to happen, and I think we can look to Waterbury as an example. I think there's economic impact studies that have been done on how much.
You were Torrington with the Warner Theater.
Sure,
It's
absolutely.
operational
But obviously the financing of such a project, forget about the political stuff, the finance, just the mere economic issue, I think is, it's not going to be easy, but it will be worth it,
So the palace
especially.
is up and running.
The palace is up and running.
Yeah.
The other reason I say that is because the last time I saw you in a public forum was at the Danbury Cultural Commission meeting that Mark Boughton was also at. And
Mayor of
Frank
Danbury.
Herbert was there, and he's a professor in the theater arts program over at
Western,
WCSU. And one of his or one of the main concerns that was brought up at that meeting was the fact that they were actually considering turning the theater, the Berkshire Theater over at WestCon, into a classroom building. And that's probably the only functional theater space that we have here in Danbury at this
Right,
point.
Performing Arts
And
Theater.
that should be out in public knowledge, in the public forum. People
So we
should
need
be
a performing
discussing.
arts theater as well.
Yeah, we have a theater arts program at the college.
Yeah.
There's got to be creative ways to make this come together.
To work it together. Okay. Tony? No,
Well,
no barriers.
I would
nothing.
love to see the Palace Theater open again. I can't think of anything else I'd rather see. You know, again, it's very utopian. No barriers, unlimited capital. I think I would love to see a revisit to the gas ball days of yore, where
So it's a music festival.
there
putting
are
together a
soldiers
music
on the
festival.
street.
That's right. Maybe tying in with the university.
There are people who are speaking out about it, are handing out flyers, are taking it upon themselves to maybe get their feet wet and dabble in some booking
Okay.
and promoting some shows. I think the town could use an influx of promoters. I don't think we have enough of them. We've got a lot of clubs, but I think a lot of times not necessarily knowing exactly how to do what it is we're talking to do. And I think it's very easy to fall into a cover band type route because there's sometimes some quick money there. Instant
Economics.
hits.
I mean,
Yeah.
Toad's Place closed. That was the #1 club in Connecticut, right?
Yeah.
So the economics of the nightclub business are challenging,
Sure.
and maybe more so than ever.
But we've got unlimited capital, remember.
We've got
so-
unlimited capital.
That's right. that's right.
Antonio?
Yeah, I also would like to see the Palace Theater going on because
There's
I
a
love the
consistent
yeah.
theme here. There,
It's a
obviously.
beautiful theater. I've been inside and I fell in love with it because I love the stage and I love the scenery and everything, paintings, you know.
Yeah, it is. It's an exquisite art deco.
Maybe that's the elephant in the living room.
Maybe that's the elephant. So Palace Theater also with
Yeah,
you.
that's right. Yeah.
Richard?
Well, we've been, and I want to give Brian Blair equal credit for this idea. Brian, for those of you who don't know him, is probably the leading sound producer and sound person in this area. It's sort of the leader of that, one of the leaders of the music industry that, as it is
Sure.
now in Danbury. But we've been talking about not so much reviving the gas ball, because I think the gas ball had its run, and maybe organically it came to the end.
Don't mistake
Or
me. I don't
reinvent
mean-
it. Reinvent it.
Sure.
A new music festival
Something like-
that celebrates the Danbury music scene, the original music scene, with some recognizable names. I sometimes think the big name hang-up can be, particularly in the age when I think the classic rock period maybe is getting a little too much play. That's personal opinion. I'm actually more personally interested in seeing original music and newer music. I'm a reader of Paste and a lot of the.
And a strong
but-
foundation of local, smaller acts, I think, will eventually lead to an interest in nationals. That if you do it too quickly, you put all your marbles in one bucket there, and that's when these
It
clubs
can set you back,
Exactly.
too.
Close
Yeah,
and
it
stuff.
can set you back.
But a festival coordinated with a mini conference, sort of shades of South by Southwest.
With an
Why not?
academic program that complements it at the university.
And where we have
with
say,
venues that are downtown.
Yeah. And you
with a
coordinate the two.
magazine or
Honestly,
newspaper.
to add one thing to the mix too, and without getting into any of the politics regarding this, I don't see why we're not throwing the biggest carnival / Mardi Gras celebration in
That's
the entire
absolutely-
country every February, because we certainly have the community that it fits, that could do that.
So
There
also
could be
bring in maybe
music
some of the
around that.
multicultural.
And I direct that sort of towards you. I don't know if that would sit well, or I mean,
Well, yes,
That's
we don't-
gonna have to
that'll be
wait for-
that'll be another show, right?
Yeah, that'll be another
And that would
show
be a tourism
because we are out
attraction.
of
That would
town.
attract people from outside of
We are out of
Danbury.
time here.
If it was.
Fast.
Yeah, it went
Yeah, it
fast.
did.
Gentlemen, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for
I
having me.
think really with our callers, there's definitely people who want to talk about the future of Danbury and music and what it means for the city. I know at City Center, I'm making a personal commitment to bring music downtown, and we'll use the full resources of of our office to do that. And also would like to if you want to go around the room and say a few things about what you're doing. What next thing on Cousin Larry's?
Oh, well, there's an event happening right now. Oh, we're done.
We're done. Okay, so now it's okay. So we just have to.
Well, we didn't get to plug the monkey bar.
Say you don't